Good morning. Welcome to our Unity of Delaware Sunday service. So glad if you could join us this morning. We have a beautiful sunny day, and got all the critters gathered here for their morning Sunday treats. They've been trying to bump us up recently, arriving for church 15, 20 minutes early. I think Joe's been wrestling a little bit with the microphone this morning, but I guess I'm getting a thumbs up from back there, so I guess we're okay. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's chilly. We're in for some cold days right now, but isn't it nice to see the sun? It just kind of lifts the spirits. Yeah, all right. So as always, we're going to head into prayer with a prayerful song in a moment. I'll ask Joe to come over and join me and invite you to think about what you want to include in your prayers this morning. What is in your mind and heart to be lifting up in prayer and holding the high watch for. Prayers for healing and health and wholeness for everyone in our community and people really around the world as we continue our recovery from this pandemic. Prayers for peace, prayers for harmony among all nations as we have harmony among the critters here in our house this morning. I invite you to send in any prayer requests you might have. If you don't mind sharing them with the community at large, put them in the comments section so we can hold the high watch for you or your loved ones. Or if you at any time want to send a prayer request confidentially to the church, just send it to, use the prayer tab at the top of our website, unitydelawareohio.org. All right, they're talking me into one more treat, and then we're going to go into prayer with a little song, it's a chant of Joe's and mine called Turn Around. I think we've done it before, haven't we, Joe? And buddy, you'll need to give up your seat for Joe. Would that be okay? All right, okay, off, gone. All right, they're all gone, buddy. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Valentino.
There we go.
Here we go. Joe's had a little bit of a stressful morning getting the, for some reason we didn't have sound for a little while, so we think we've got that worked out. But as always, let us know if something we may not be aware of. Let us know that with a comment. This is called Turn Around, and it's really about that power and presence of God that is with us always. If we just watch for it, if we're alert to it, ready to receive it, it's right there waiting for us. Turn around and you'll find me waiting, my love, my love. Turn around and you'll find me waiting, my love. Always near, always deep within thee, always here, I will never leave thee. Turn around and you'll find me waiting, my love. Just like that, we'll sing it again. Turn around and you'll find me waiting, my love, my love. Turn around and you'll find me waiting, my love. Always near, always deep within thee, always here, I will never leave thee. Turn around and you'll find me waiting, my love. Just tag that. Turn around and you'll find me waiting, my love. Let's take that into prayer for a moment. Letting come into our minds all those prayers we're lifting up for each other, for ourselves, for our world. Holding that highest truth in mind for us all, that the living power and presence of God is always with us, steadily at work on our behalf, guiding us toward greater peace, greater freedom, greater wholeness, greater life, that renewing life of God in us that is with us ceaselessly, unfailingly, regardless of conditions, never withholding, always here, deep within. We know this truth for ourselves. For anyone dealing with any challenge this morning, we know God is with them in the very midst of it, guiding them toward the light, toward wholeness, toward joy and peace. We affirm this truth for ourselves, for our world, for living beings everywhere, knowing it is so, and so it is. Nice chords, Joe. Thank you. Well, we are so pleased. We have we twisted the arms of our good friends, wonderful church musicians Linda McClanahan and Joel Knepp, and talked them into recording a couple of songs for us from their home. And so Joe's going to go to the first one of those right now. We want to thank Linda and Joel for joining us in this way from their home this morning. I know you'll enjoy. Thank you, Linda and Joel. Wasn't it a treat to see Linda and Joel this morning? I want to thank them so much for doing that recording for us and sending it in. We will twist our arms into that again down the road a bit. Well, I'm thinking this morning, all this week for some reason, about pilgrimages, about going on pilgrimage, and what a basic thing it is for human beings. It's a recurrent thing, I think, kind of an impulse of the heart we experience from time to time. It's a very basic meaning for a pilgrim. A pilgrim is one who wanders over a distance. It's from Latin with that meaning, to wander over a distance. And a pilgrimage is, here's one of the definitions I had, a journey, often to an unknown or foreign place, where a person goes in search of new or expanded meaning about themselves, others, nature, or a higher good. That's a pilgrimage. It's pretty wide definition of that word, and I think it's something that is an urge in us that goes far and wide, just like the word itself does, and is practiced in lots and lots of different ways. Of course, one of the most basic ways is to take a pilgrimage to a holy site, like Jerusalem, Holy Land. A lot of people take tours to go to Jerusalem each year. Or Mecca, the center of the world for people in the Muslim faith. A lot of those they had to cut way back on this year, all these pilgrimage sites that millions have gone. It's apparently sort of a required pilgrimage for Muslims to take at some point during their lifetime to go to Mecca. And millions typically annually go. This year it was limited to, I think, 1,000 and very carefully controlled by the government how many could come in. But these are kind of well-known places people go to on pilgrimage. Lourdes in France is a place reputed to have healing powers in the waters there. But I think we are all pilgrims in a way, and we all go on pilgrimages periodically, according to some pull in us, some call of the heart. And it takes a lot of everyday forms, I think. It could be just going back to a special place in the world, some place that has always called to us. Some people have a calling to go to Paris or who knows where it might be. Something that calls to us in some way. It could be to undertake some kind of an arduous journey of some kind. People go off to climb a mountain or swim a channel or something like that. When I thought of climbing a mountain, I thought of our own Marion Jakes, who climbed Kilimanjaro when she was in Tanzania. An arduous undertaking, deeply challenging, but something she was called to do, something people are called to do often in life. Makes you wonder why, to reflect on why. But sometimes it's even a very humble pilgrimage back to a former home, or go back to the town you grew up in, or the school you attended, or the house you lived in. We had someone come by our house this past summer, driving by slowly, staring at our home, pulled up in front, and I was out, with the dogs, and felt myself being stared at. Finally, she pulled in the driveway and rolled down her window. And it turned out to be a former resident of our house, a lovely woman named Ruth, who lived here, 25 years ago, something like that. So we chatted. We invited her to. It was COVID, so it was in the summer. So she had a mask on, but we invited her to come in. But she didn't want to come all the way in, maybe because of COVID. But we looked in the windows. She walked around the property with us. We heard her stories about when she lived here. We shared some of our stories about what we've done to the house and our living here. And as she was leaving, getting into her car, she said, "Spent some good years here." She spent some good years here. I just think there's something in that speaks to us and why we make these pilgrimages. I think they are always for healing in some way. It's an impulse of the heart, and it's toward greater meaning in our lives, greater healing, bringing us greater wholeness. That's why we take these little journeys. And we don't have to go far. Here's the basic characteristics of all pilgrimages. One is it's a purposeful journey toward a sacred source for a sacred purpose. The second one is that it's about making contact with mystery and miracle-working power. And the third one is coming back then to normal life, renewed, healed, or illumined in some way. That's kind of the three characteristics and three stages of a pilgrimage. And I think it's interesting to think about in this year where our outer pilgrimages, our outer travels have been so curtailed, that I think many of us are making these pilgrimages in our own homes and backyards, in our own little sphere that maybe we've been wandering pretty far from, in recent years, in our restless doing, in our many, many activities and multitasking. And maybe this is the year our pilgrimage is to come home. And is to look at where we live, where we dwell, in our families, in our community, in our own yard, and find new meaning in it, and a deeper sense of self, and maybe some kind of healing, or step toward greater wholeness. Seems to me there may be a lot of us who have wandered long and far before coming back to this place this year, and being compelled by circumstances to take our pilgrimage right here and now, and see what that has for us in terms of healing, in terms of expanded meaning. It reminds me of a line, a very well-known line from a poem by T.S. Eliot. The poem was called Little Gidding. He wrote this in 1955, But the quote goes, some of you may know it very well, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." I think that has a lot of resonance to it, especially right now where we have been compelled to keep our exploring much closer to home than ever before in many of our lives. And it's a core truth about this idea of pilgrimage, of journeying to a sacred source with miracle-working powers. Pilgrimage has always been and always will be more an inner than an outer process. It's an inner discovery more than an outer one. We tend to forget that true pilgrimage is always an inside job. Many have gone to Mecca or Jerusalem or Lourdes, and some have received some kind of healing from it. But I'm sure many have not, because the key thing is the consciousness we take with us wherever we go. Pilgrimage and the deep benefits of pilgrimage are all a matter of in our own consciousness. We could travel the world over and not get that benefit if we don't bring the right receptive consciousness to it. Human beings have always had a tendency to kind of externalize God, that God the good, that higher power is outside us somewhere. The Apostle Paul, there's a wonderful scripture about this from Acts chapter 17. The Apostle Paul is in Athens, spreading the spiritual discoveries that he's gained and sharing them with others. And he's disturbed as he makes his way through the city to find all these idols and shrines and icons. And he says to them, he said, "The God who made the world and everything in it does not live in shrines made with human hands." It's not out there. It's not out there. God is not far from each one of us, for in him we live and move and have our being, right here, right now. This is the pilgrimage to take. This is the holy shrine. I think that's really important words for us to remember this year when we're all kind of compelled to stay home. This can be, in a way, a sacred pilgrimage for us, depending on the consciousness we bring to it. So it seems to me these are kind of key points if you are on a pilgrimage right now, to remember that. Remember, it's a sacred process you're involved in. You're journeying inwardly toward a sacred source with miracle-working power, the power and presence of God in you that is with you moment by moment, day by day. It's a sacred journey to a sacred source right here and now. Second one to remember is that it's a God-guided pilgrimage from start to finish. The impulse of the heart that starts it, looking for a deeper sense of meaning, and then that guidance continues throughout the process of this many-month pilgrimage now. Guidance comes to us on what's nourishing to us right now, what's ours to do right now. Could be something very close at hand. Could be something that calms the spirit and brings you greater peace, some activity, some habit, some change in your lifestyle. That's the guidance of God reaching you in your pilgrimage, in your journey, to bring you greater peace and freedom and joy. And the third thing is to remember that you are being led toward greater good. You're in contact with miracle-working power, so you should expect to be transformed by it. You should expect to be healed by it, so that when you resume, more customary outward activities, you bring something back with you from this pilgrimage. And I think this kind of thing is going on with us all the time. And we could share stories about that if we were here together having a discussion about what discoveries we're making in our pilgrimages and how we're being guided in them, what kind of ways we've changed our lives or our habits following that guidance of God in this holy pilgrimage. I was speaking to my good friend Karen. We go back to third grade together. She lives in northern Michigan last week, and she talked about she spends afternoons reading now. It's like sacred reading time in her chair by the window, her swivel chair that looks out the window with her pile of books beside her. This can be a holy thing, can't it? To have a special place where you do your reading or you're meditating. That can become part of almost a sanctuary experience as a part of your pilgrimage during this time. it's a kind of an altar of sorts, a place of worship in our own homes. I bet some of you have discovered or made a place like that this year. For me, I think a lot of it is watching the birds at our feeders, which I do often. I've got one I'm looking at right now out of all our windows. We have lots and lots of robins this year. I've always taken a great pleasure in that, but I think particularly so this year. To watch them, to see all the little differences in their coloring. The more you look at birds, the more you can see how unique they are. To see the unexpected visitor that comes through, a sudden northern flicker or a red-breasted nuthatch or something unusual, and it's so awe-inspiring. And the closer we look, the more we see. And I think that's a big part of it, because it isn't really about all the wonders you take in visually. It's about the presence you experience, how fully present you are. It's about paying attention and the rich sense of presence that we get from that. So I was particularly struck by, I was reading something by a man named Drew Lanham. He's an ornithologist. He's a bird expert. And he's typically, this time of year, would be traveling the world following these amazing migrations of exotic birds around the world. But this year, like us, he's staying home and he's watching the birds in his own backyard. And making some astounding, life-enriching discoveries from staying put. He talked about, for instance, these amazing rose-breasted grosbeaks. Some of you might have seen these wonderful, they have a rosy color on their chests, suddenly appear at his feeders, and they would get, kind of refuel and get nourishment, as this happens in people's yards across the country, and then in a little bit they move on. And he kind of sees that connection going. They've come from the Caribbean or South America. They get nourished at his feeders, and then they go on to Vermont or New Hampshire, where they visit other people's feeders. It's a wonderful way of seeing us all interconnected in this way, and connected with the natural world and connected with one another. He speaks inspiringly about that, but also about what he said we refer to often as the common birds that are here with us all through the year. And he said there's really nothing common about it. He said, I see a cardinal sitting in the last shafts of sunlight, watching the setting sun blaze through that bird, gave me this appreciation again for the things we call common and often pass by. They're not common at all if we're looking closely enough. So I took a little video this past week outside, just a minute or so. I thought I'd share with you. Joe's kind of put some music behind it, and we've got it queued up to show you just a little glimpse of some of our common birds outside our windows. I think Joe will play that for you now.
Watch for the cardinals.
Watch for the cardinals, he says. The delights outside our windows. I hope you were able to catch some of the birds. Depending on how big your screen is, it might have been worked better for those of you watching it on the big screens. But there's a lot of delight right outside our windows or inside our windows for that matter, if we're paying attention, if we're looking closely and really absorbing the experience. We're all pilgrims in this sense, and we're all on pilgrimage. And the great good news is we don't have to go anywhere. We don't really need any special visas or passports or travel plans. We can experience the power and presence of God right here in this sacred space and be deeply nourished by it and healed by it. So let's take that into a closing prayer for a moment and just affirm that high truth and our gratitude for it, that we are at all times in direct contact with the living God. This is a God-infused world we live in our homes, in our families, in our very bodies and minds and spirits. God is fully present and powerfully at work, and we have the opportunity to commune with that moment by moment and be healed and transformed by it. Thank you, God, for your unfailing presence with us now and always. Amen. Well, I want to share just a couple of announcements, and then we'll have a closing song by Linda and Joel. Bless them. First of all, we're thrilled. We're going to have a little song by Bill Cohen next Sunday at our concert. That happens to be Valentine's Day, Feb 14, and he's doing a concert that evening at 7 o'clock, as he does every year. This year's is virtual, and it's always a wonderful concert of inspiring love music. So, and we're thrilled he's going to join us, one recording of one song as kind of a preview of that concert. He's going to join us next Sunday. We have a couple of special events coming up later this month, too, just to kind of keep in mind. On Sundays, Feb 21, we're going to have our annual meeting for the church via Zoom at like 11:30, so after the service on the 21st. And on the 28th, we have a guest speaker, Reverend Robert Brummett, who's an inspiring minister and meditation teacher and my personal spiritual director, and he's going to do our guest message at the service and lead an afternoon or a midday, 11:30 to 1, workshop on insight meditation. So I'm looking forward to that on the 28th. So wonderful things coming up. Let us know if there's anything going on with you you want lifted up in prayer. Or if you want to attend those Zoom things, of course, send in your email addresses. You can do that anytime, and we'll add you to that invite list for the annual meeting and for that workshop on meditation on the 28th. I'll say my thank yous before their song. Thank you so much to Linda and Joel for their music today. And thanks to Joe, of course, for all the technical support. He does so much more than probably any of you or myself realize in making this all work. And thanks to all of you for joining us today and for your support as always. Well, before the prayer for protection, let's have that second song from Linda and Joel. It's a great song, Bigger Than Any Mountain.
Here we go. Bigger than all my problems, bigger than all my fears. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all my questions, bigger than anything. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all the shadows that fall across my path. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all my confusion, bigger than anything. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all my problems, bigger than all my fears. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all my questions, bigger than anything. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all the giants I've seen in my life. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all my hang-ups, bigger than anything. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all my problems, bigger than all my fears. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all my questions, bigger than anything. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Lay one, Linda. Bigger than all my problems, bigger than all my fears. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. Bigger than all my questions, bigger than anything. God is bigger than any mountain that I cannot see. My God is bigger than any
Isn't that terrific? Thank you so much, Linda and Joel. Such fun to see you and to hear you as always. I know our community is sending in those comments saying the same thing. So that brings us to the end of our service, except for the prayer for protection today. And so let's just say that together, knowing we're connected as we do it, and that we're all in this together. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well, and so it is. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week.